How we doing, everybody? It's Thursday, November 6th here on Unpaved. I am Adam Sager. You can follow me at Adam G. Sager, and he is Sean Salisbury. You can follow him at Sean Unfiltered. Sean, good afternoon.
What's happening, man?
Today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You know, I think we're all in kind of it's holiday season. There's that excitement, but there's also chaotic. It's kind of organized chaos going on, right?
Right.
With everything, but I'm good. I guess I operate in that because that's been my unpaved life forever. But I feel good, man. We hit that over last night and hit that point spread that you and I both picked one of each with the Laker and the Spurs game, which should tell everybody because we win more than we lose, and that's always a good thing in gambling sakes.
I will say I got very lucky because I had it plus 2.5 at the start of the game. It was actually Spurs minus 1.5, but I got lucky at the end of the play there where Marcus Smart, stepped in bounds before he passed the ball, or his foot was in bounds when he passed the ball down the floor, or that would have been the 2 points that cost me my bet.
Makes you wonder how they know this shit, right?
Right.
How in the world? I mean, it's how they set these lines is baffling. But it was a good one. But it's also, and I don't want to put a bummer on the show, but it's stuff that today's a very sad but weird. There's a lot of happiness, but in life, but you recognize life's fragile, man, and you never know when somebody's going through mental trouble. So I know we're all passionate and we get after it and the rest of it, but man, being kind and trying to dial into your friends when they're not, when you don't know, put your arm around them and find out, because tragic for Eric Spoelstra, but also tragic for the Dallas Cowboys and I know, Six, you got the story. That's why I'm not saying anything about it.
Yeah.
I hate to start there, but 24 years old, full life in front of him.
Yeah, and that's where we start in Dallas, where Marshawn Kneeland, the defensive end, second-round pick in 2024.
Really good player, and by all accounts, a great guy. Everybody who says it, right?
Woke up to the news that he had passed this morning. Didn't really know, didn't get the story until just a little bit ago. Came out that basically police tried to pull him over last night at about 10:30, 11 o'clock. He ran from the police. They chased. They lost the car. At some point, Marshawn Kneeland got into a car accident and fled on foot. Police and local authorities searched all over, had dogs out, drones, everything out looking for him just to figure out what was going on, why he ran in the first place. In those 3 hours until they found him dead from an apparent suicide, a gunshot wound to the head, he had called family members, basically said his goodbyes, and they had called the police and told them that he was suicidal, that he was the one. They knew it was him, but that he was the one that caused the accident and all those things. So tragic story out of Dallas this morning. And if you're a Cowboys player, if you're an NFL player, you wake up and you probably just don't really know how to handle this type of news when it breaks.
Segs, when you're a kid, I mean, when you're a parent, as many of us are, you and I both, and you don't have to be a parent, a loved one, a family member, a friend, a sister, a brother, whatever. I mean, this is your worst nightmare.
Yep.
This is your absolute worst nightmare. My parents have buried a son. So I know it. I mean, I know from them, how it never stopped affecting them their whole lives when they were alive. This kid's 24 years old, Marshawn is, and you listened. I saw, a post about what Mike Zimmer had said about him. He's a great kid, great future. Wasn't going to take any crap on the field, but was a great teammate. You see some of the posts, and then you hear about him calling his family, and I go right to, because I've hit my rock bottom. Hopefully, never go again. And I know what goes on. I'm not. Listen, first and foremost, I beg and pray that people on social media and out there, please don't speculate on why he did this. Please don't start trying to find, well, did he hit somebody? Was he drunk? Whatever it is. Please, can we let the body cool off and the family mourn before we start speculating of why and all this and making fun of mental health? And we're fortunate now, Segs, in society that 15 years ago, if you had mental health and you said it, or you talked to somebody or went and saw a psychologist or a a counselor or a friend, you were made fun of and got beat down because you weren't tough.
You're right.
I know there's a fine line between mental toughness and mental issues. It's a slippery slope between the two. We want everybody to be tough, but certain things you just can't control, whether it's DNA, whether it's a wire loop. I don't know the reasons. Hell, I'm not a doctor, but people are going to say horrible things. People are going to say, "Good, you're football, toughen up." If you did, you're going to hear that stuff. So I would beg that we would refrain from that and more than a 24-year-old kid who had a phenomenally bright future in front of him. And this, judging from what I see, what the family said, this is not a one-off as far as some mental stuff he'd been struggling with.
Yes.
And that has nothing to do with, is he mentally tough? Hell, the guy's playing in the National Football League. I'd say he's pretty damn physically tough, and you got to be mentally tough along the way to get there. But it wouldn't matter. And you're going to hear somebody say, well, look at the money he's making, second round pick. That doesn't matter. I've got buddies that have gone through it. Says, when I was going through my rock bottom, you start to question your mental toughness at times because you're like, where do I go next? When you hit it, you lose your dad, you lose a home, you lose your job. And when they all come at you at once, you start to look around and say, you feel hopeless and you feel helpless. And that's at the time when you least go to your friends because you feel like you're putting them out. And that goes back to that 15, 20 years ago. It was taboo to have some mental issues, right? And when you say mental issues, people say, oh, tough. I'm talking about deep-seated, hardcore stuff that even if you haven't been through it, we all know it's like cancer. Mm-hmm. We all know somebody who knows somebody, and it may affect that's going through depression, their rock bottom, their I don't know what I'm going to do, desperate, panicked, hopeless, helpless. And it's not a time to make fun of. It's not time we'll say toughen up or need money. Now, people are going to approach it the way they want, but can we please recognize that this dude had his whole life in front of him. I got kids that are a little older, but around his age. So if you know anybody who lived it, and it sounds so cheesy and elementary, I get it when we say, tell somebody you care about them, put your arm around them, but think how many times we've missed those opportunities or wish we had it or wish. Hell, how many of us haven't wished that somebody had been there for us at a time when you didn't reach out, that they just kind of would have been tuned and known.
Right.
And then, so having that friend, it's not, I don't want to get emotional, but I can't even fathom what that family's going through. His football family, his work family, the NFL, but his family. Right. And what he must have been thinking about the accident, what led up to that. Was it something that happened 2 days before? Something that happened 20 years before? Did he hit something? Did he feel like, oh my gosh, because of this, how am I going to explain how this accident happened? I can't get out of this.
Right.
You're never helpless. There is always somebody. So reach out, but also reach out to the person who may be struggling, because you never know what you could have done that day. I think about this all the time with Junior Seau, all the time. And when something like this happens, it takes me back to him, who is one of my best friends. Married again, he would have been a groomsman for me, to a guy who never lets you know. Says, we've had this conversation, but you can't assume everybody's heard it before. You would have never known anything was wrong with him. When he was done playing, everybody loved Junior Seau. Playing, everybody. He was a phenomenal teammate, a great friend. When he was going through his stuff or I was going through my stuff, and he would always say, I need to see more of you. And I was becoming, almost reclusive to the point I didn't want to talk to anybody. He said, stop it. He goes, if I got to come to you, I'm going to come to you. He goes, you get your ass out here and see me. And like I've said before, he's the only male that I have in my life, aside from my dad or my kids, that you kiss on the cheek and love them. Then when he saw me, he would peck me on the lips, whether it's his culture in Hawaiian. And others say, and what are you going to say to Junior? Don't kiss me, dude. Yeah. You joke, but you just
he'll whoop your ass right there.
That's exactly right. I would rather have the kiss than the ass whooping from Junior. Still surfing, still doing all those things. Body looked like he could play, but you never know. And to this day, and another dear friend of mine who was one of his best friends as well, we actually spent time on the phone crying together when it happened, saying, what could we have done more? Were there signs? Because Junior was always the guy that he was so immersed in making sure you were okay, you kind of forgot that he might not have been okay.
Right.
And so whenever this happens, the first thing I think about is my buddy Junior, and how and you carry, it's not, and I think a lot of our friends probably do. Why didn't we see those signs? What was it? Oh, that's Junebug, man. He's good. Buddy. He called everybody hey, buddy. Everything was Budde, buddy. What's up, buddy? And it was almost, we used to kid him, dude, is it because you don't know their neighbors? Because that's just how he did it. And so when you see him, people, it's like around the country, anybody, oh, buddy, they referred to him as that because that's how he talked to his buddies and his friends. And so when I think about him, I think about this, and I think, man, and I'm sure people are going to go through this too. Could you have done more? Family or close friends? And I felt that. So it always evokes these crazy emotions and these wild emotions, and makes me take a step back and realize, and it could be because money, they spent much, they broke up, they lost a friend. I don't know the reasons why, or felt, but it's that thing that you can't put if they could, we'd all bottle it up and we wouldn't have mental issues in this country, right? And I just feel so horrible and the ones that are living have to suffer through it, right? To go through it. But I can't imagine what he must have been going through, his thought process of that he was going to end his life. I just hope we're kind through this and don't start to speculate. Let the people who understand mental illness speculate. But in your own life, I guarantee you know somebody. And in talking to homeless, I said the same. Homeless isn't what you used to. When I talked about Russ, the Russ who moved in with me for 2 years, Segs. I never. You think homeless is just the person sitting under a bridge. Right. Homeless is sitting next to you, fooling you at times that they have a place to go and they don't. And some don't want to be rescued. They just don't. So you just don't know. And when it comes to this, which is obviously an important mental health, you can be as tough as there is in the world, but a wire could be loose or whatever it is in a system that says, here's a guy you assume has everything. Good-looking guy, physical, family that loved him, teammates that adored him, really good player. But you just don't know. So every now and again, you don't have to be right. Being kind's okay. And I don't know what's right in this, and I don't even know what to say in this, Segs, other than it's happened close to me. And a best friend of mine growing up, same way, a really good friend of mine. So it wasn't just Junior, a good friend of mine from elementary school, all the way up until I got to high school before he killed himself. I just never, this happens too often in society. And a lot of times, maybe it could be prevented if we just put our arm around him instead of, kicked him in the teeth all the time. So I would hope that his family gets the peace that they deserve. And he obviously had a hard time with finding his full peace. And it's just a gut-wrenching day. It is. Yeah. It's a bummer way to start the show, but it's far more important than a jump shot last night, right?
Like you said, I think it's just you never know who is going through it. My little town that I live in, about 10,000-ish people. 2 weeks ago, we had a kid who was a junior in high school commit suicide, and it rocked the school. And he was one of the best soccer players on the varsity team, and all this stuff, and all of a sudden,
right future, right, Segs, his whole life ahead of it. Yeah,
smart kid, and all this stuff, and my daughter's friends had older siblings that were very close with him, and so it's just you never know, and I mean, even to like myself, I took my daughter to school that day because she woke up a little bit late, and normally her ride had to go, so I took her to school. And not to be graphic, but he jumped to his death off a bridge onto a highway. When I say 600 yards from our house, it's the bridge I go over every day when I go. So when I was coming home, it was 10 to 15 minutes difference. So I got home, and about 10 to 15 minutes later is when he did it. And you just think, like, I didn't know the kid, but you think, like, man, if I was 10 minutes later, who knows? If I would have saw him, could I have stopped or something?
Talked him off the bridge, right?
Right. So it's just you never know who's going through something that just needs somebody to listen. That's it. That can, you don't got to talk them through just listen, and then push them to the right person
that looks
help them.
Yeah, and Segs that their life looks perfect. This kid you're talking about, Marshawn. Yes. I know exactly where that is, where it happened in that area, because that's where my kids went to high school, Plano West in Dallas and Frisco area. And when they talked about the street where, you know, where they started chasing, I can tell you, I know exactly where that area is because I spent a decade there. So, but you really don't, Segs, in somebody's life, and you start to question, well, what if, and then you start to question, well, am I doing enough in my own family or people close to help them through? And it just, that perfect life a lot of times isn't so perfect. And I can remember when I was going through, we all get this point, we want to show this hard shell of toughness when you're wilting inside, but you don't want people to think that you can't fix it yourself. And quite frankly, that's not mental weakness. That's sometimes a cry for help comes from that perfect life, which quite frankly, I don't know anybody that has one. We automatically think if you got a lot of money, it's a perfect life. With money comes obligation and everything else. So it doesn't matter. It may give you a little peace and freedom when you got money to go out and not have to stress over bills, but it doesn't take away any of the other worries in your life or why you're like that, or to have an understanding why. And, you know, every day people are trying to figure out how this happens. But right now, it's a time to mourn and just be a little kinder at times when you don't even know if the person needs it. And it's especially at Segs at this time of year.
Yes, the holidays.
This is, yes, because people have lost parents or kids, and the reminder is gut-wrenching. Divorced at this time of year, so maybe Christmas doesn't feel the same, or something happened around Thanksgiving and you just never know. And it's a hot button, very, very deep-seated time, and we're in those 2 months where it's like, man, so you don't know. So I know I just, you know, you share these stories and you say, how do we prevent the next one from happening? And unfortunately, you just never know. So it's much easier to be kind to somebody. Now, listen, people go on and fight over a sporting event and, you know, who's going to win and who that, but it should stop there. It doesn't have to be vicious and evil.
Right.
Because you know what, when it's all said and done, in truth, that person's new. I'm never going to remember the battle I had over a sports comment, Segs, but I do remember the times when I chose not to be kind and didn't apologize and carry that regret around. Even if the person's still alive back in high school or college or anywhere, you're like, you know what, I missed an opportunity. And then you carry it around, and the grudge holder or the person who's carrying that regret around suffers a lot from it. So, you know, when in doubt, every now and again, it's okay. You can take the W by putting your arm around somebody and having a laugh, because I'm sure a lot of people are going through the same thought process we are now about what they could have done different for Marshawn. So God bless him, man, and his family.
And then more, you know, just kind of awful news, and obviously not to this level, but woke up to the news that Heat head coach Eric Spoelstra's, you know, house down in Miami had burnt to the ground. And you've seen, if you go on Twitter, you can see clips of now, you know, videos walking through the house and everything is gone. I mean, so just a tough, you know, way to wake up if you're Eric Spoelstra or his family, that any kind of house fire is just devastating.
So how do we know how it started? Have they come out with it yet?
No.
So, whether it's arsonists or where it started, if it's electrical, we'll find out eventually.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Eventually.
But regardless, it's that emotion of that. And nobody was hurt, I don't think, right, Segs?
No, yes. From what I've seen, nobody was hurt.
When I saw the initial story, there was no. So I'm just making sure in the last half hour that nothing else has happened. Things can be replaced. But you start to think, what if your kid or grandkids in there? I don't know where Eric, how old his kids are or grandkids, and you know. And I know the devastation of losing. I'm sure of losing. I don't, but of friends who've lost private things that matter to them, right? In these kind of things, you know what I'm saying, where they've lost the invaluable stuff. But in truth, I would probably think that Eric Spoelstra, that gut-wrenching feeling, is not worried about the autograph signed basketball or championship basketball. That he's concerned about how this happened. What if somebody would have been in there? Thank goodness nobody was. I mean, all those things. And it just, but to see it like that, you're like, the what ifs kick in there too, man. Thank goodness that, you know, nobody died or that nobody was hurt in it. But it still doesn't take away the fact it's so invasive on you that this happened, however it happened.
the uncertainty of what's next when you don't have that place to go home to. Like, so that's where, house fires are just absolutely
Segs, when I was growing up, my dad ran the power plant for the city of Escondido. And our home, they had a home when we moved to Escondido. The home was at the power plant. So it was a small home, but my family lived there. So my dad, because he was 24/7 on watch, he had to chlorinate the water up there. It was up on a hill below a dam. Up above, below the dam. I'm at school one day, and my dad, 6'5", 265, was bench pressing 225 when he was 60, 20 times, 25. My dad, and the reason I say that it leads to the physical part, and when you go through something, how you get out and what you go through. And my pop was a big physical man, but didn't say a lot. And so all of a sudden, I'm driving home from school. I was in high school. And it's up on the top between Valley Center and Escondido, and people that know me know it's in there's the hills up there. The power plant's tucked back in, and the generators are back there. My dad had to make sure the generators were always running, so people from up there got their water chlorinated, got it done right, on call all the time. I come around the corner, and it was around, you drive at night, there's no lights. It's like driving through the country in a mountaintop and going around, and I came around the bend. And the first thing I see, because there's about 300 yards before you down the dirt road, it was all dirt road, where our house was sitting up on probably 4 feet on top of a plateau, small house, and the generators of 3 different buildings were there. And up through the canyon is where the dam was that would have come down like in a funnel. Right. I turned the corner, Segs, from school, and I look, and I see we had a van that would haul stuff because my mother was in the cake decorating business. So we had to haul all that stuff and car. The mud and and then there's a huge drop off into the canyon like you would be if you were in Yosemite, right? Not that big, but you get so up there. And I look, and the mud has covered the van, and our other car is sitting 8, 10, 12 feet in the air on top of the mud from the dam broke while my dad was working. My mother was in the house. She starts to hear a rumble go down, and my dad said, "Stay inside." He yells. There was another guy there. My mom's scared to death. Now remember this too: chlorine lines break. The chlorine's going everywhere. My dad's yelling to my mom when he can tell it's coming. He starts to see it. Says, "Get in the house." And my dad's a big physical dude, but it was, people can go back and look at Escondido and say when the dam broke, and my pop grabs the guy and saves him. He holds on to the pole, a steel pole inside one of the generator rooms, and to hold it. Yeah. My dad withstood it. I turned around, I got up there. This was after it had done. I see fire trucks. I mean, everything. They couldn't get a hold of me at school. I didn't have cell phone. Right? Nobody knew. They couldn't call anybody. And I'm thinking the first thing that comes to my mind is my parents are dead. And I mean, everything. Fortunately, the house sits up, so it didn't hit the house. So my mom was safe. But then the chlorine and in their eyes and in the lungs, right? And my dad had withstood the dam break. The generator 20 yards on the other side of the dirt road on that side, that generator on that side, which was not elevated, was smashed like a pancake. And if anybody knows what those generators at water look like, and I'm thinking so my point is, you go home to that, everything was destroyed. We had to go stay in a hotel they didn't have Airbnb, stay in a hotel for like 6 weeks till they rebuilt everything. And I was thinking to myself, I remember that feeling. And then I'm thinking to myself, thank God my dad was still in great shape and was physically, because to help save a guy and at the same time grab on to save his own life, and then have the wherewithal to make sure my mom, and then with the chlorine and my mom putting a wet towel over her face and eyes. And fortunately I have, my parents are pretty smart with that, but my dad's physicality. But that first thing I thought, you saw Eric Spolstra, put his hands on his head like what? Yep. I was in a similar way. I'm thinking, man, what? And you don't know what happened, and it was such an eerie feeling. But then to see my parents standing there, it was like. And then you go through what happened. Then they show you the generator. You say there's no way, because then everything funneled down into the canyon after it hit that and went down. Thank goodness. or that stuff just keeps coming up the road, and we would have had no way in to get to them.
Right.
But fortunately they did, because it stopped at the edge of the house, and it was because it could go down into the canyon. So you didn't get the full flow there. But I go there, I said, nobody should have survived this. And so you go back to those blessings of, wow. And it's in Eric Spoelstra's case, I'm sure he's saying, thank God nobody was in there or everybody got out. Right. So just devastating stuff. It's a rough way to start a day, Segs, but really gut-wrenching stuff for Marshawn and for Eric Spoelstra's family. One's going to survive and be okay. He can replace things.
Yes.
One's family is going to wonder forever the life that Marshawn had in front of him. It's just so sad.
It really is. Transitioning to some sports today. Sean, I saw this yesterday, and I don't know if you've seen this. I sent it to Triple E behind the scenes, hoping that you haven't seen it. And this is something I want to get your raw reaction on if you haven't seen it. This is a clip from Bussin' with the Boys with Taylor Lewan and Will Compton.
I have not seen it. If it was recent or today or yesterday, I have not seen it. Okay, I did not see it.
This was yesterday. It was with Josh Pate, who's a big-time college football media personnel. And
who's really good, Segs. He's really freaking good.
He is really good. This is what he had to say at the end of their show, talking about college football, the coaching carousel. Go ahead, Triple E.
Have any feeling on any of these job openings right now?
Yeah.
Care to off the record?
So just put this on your radar.
Put it on.
I'm just gonna. And can we end on this? Can we agree?
We do have a final bite from McDonald's, but
yeah, and also
should we wait? This could be the take going into the weekend.
Can you put the pin back in? Whatever you just pulled.
All right, you ready?
Pull the pin.
All right, here we go. Let's just keep an eye on Lincoln Riley at USC.
That's your coach.
Does that mean? Now, see, I don't think Josh Pate drops that bomb.
He knows something.
Grenade. That grenade, if there's not, and it's not just some Twitter speculation, that's inside information.
Yes.
Now, here's what my thought is it him leaving Southern Cal because he wants LSU, Florida, a different job? Or is the Board of Regents or our people who make the decision there helping nudge him out the door?
Right.
So is this keep an eye on? It says
those were my first exact thoughts too. Is it him being pushed out, or is it him going for another job?
Right. Did he all of a sudden say, I'm gonna get out of this LA thing? I love SC, but I see we're not gonna be in the. I'm gonna get out before they get me. You're one of those if we don't win and get to the playoff. I don't know, Segs. It is. But when he says that, what a great tease by Josh too, because you're sitting there thinking, well, are they forcing him out and saying we're getting a new coach, or is it that he's like, you know what, Florida or LSU want me. It's time for me to get out of LA and go coach somewhere else, and then the buyout's coming. Man, that is a grenade that he just threw, because I did not see that. Now, the speculation was going on for a couple of years, about it. But when it comes from an insider like that, this is more than just rumor chatter. There's somebody close to the situation that is, now whether he goes or not, but at least it's being bantered about with certain powers that be about whether he's going, staying, if it's him or if it's not. Hell of a tease by him, because now I'm interested to call a few of the people I know there and find out if there's anything deeper than that.
It feels like to me, I mean, USC sitting at 6-2. They're still in the hunt. They're ranked 19th.
With a little luck from their friends. Yeah.
Yeah, with some help.
A little help from their friends, should I say, and a little luck. Yeah.
You've got Northwestern this weekend. Then you've got number 20 Iowa. And then you go to Eugene to take on Oregon. And then you have your rival in UCLA, who's been playing better football. You run that. If you're 10-2 going into maybe a Big Ten championship game, or not, if you're not playing in it, you're 10-2. You're in the discussion for the college football playoff. So when I first thought about that, like you said, is this him being kind of nudged out, or is this him wanting to go take an LSU job or a Florida job or I don't see Penn State, but maybe a Penn State job. But when I think about where he stands right now and what he can still accomplish this season, it doesn't feel like he's being pushed out. Maybe that's on the back of their minds, but I think if you're somebody there at USC, you still have to say, okay, let's wait and see what he does.
Yeah.
But is he looking somewhere else?
Too
That's where I think-
too premature in 2025 with their record and their going into last week, they're number one offense in the country, I believe. Yeah. So too premature with their record to say, let's get him. We're replacing him at the end of the year no matter what. Now, one more loss, they're not making a playoff. They're going to struggle to get in anyway. But a win at Oregon, a win against Iowa, who's at the top 20 team. Yep. You beat your rival. I mean, it starts to get a little question as long as one of those teams or two or three of those teams in front of you get knocked off, and how impressive your wins are if you're able to win them all. And so, and I'm going to ask this, and this is no disrespect to LSU or Penn State, because USC is LSU, is the Penn State job, is 100%. The Ohio State job, is the Michigan job. And so I'm thinking to listen, you're not getting through your top 10 college football jobs for coaches that would take them in the world without SC being one of them, regardless that they haven't won a national championship in a minute. You're just not, because the money, the area, the beach, the school, it's a private school, the money you have the money they're going to pay you, everything, your recruiting base. Hell, you can put 20 square miles around the university and you can find 15 Hall of Famers down the road, college or NFL. You get my point, Segs, that you know that you're getting them. There's great players there. So what would make you want to leave for that unless you are starting to feel that gut feeling that it's either get in this year or they're going to run me out anyway, and I don't want to miss out on that opportunity. I don't know what it is, because the speculation has been always at these big schools. I will tell you this, though. If Lincoln Riley leaves to go take another job, I wouldn't understand it unless he knows he's on his way out. If you're secure there, how secure are coaches these days, but if you were secure, why would you leave that to go to LSU? That's no disrespect. Just like why would you leave LSU to go to Southern Cal? I wouldn't leave. You got a top 10 job in the country at a university that you're going to win every year, and you've got a chance every year to be a national championship team. Here's what I'll tell you, though. There are two names that I am calling immediately. I'm talking about immediately, and neither one of them is coaching right now at SC. If Lincoln Riley leaves, and both got national championships. One is you can reach out and grab him and say where he's at on Saturday. I mean, during or with the company he works for, and the other is a private flight away. Now, I don't know if they'd leave. I have no idea. But if you want to win and you want to recruit and you want every eye on the country on you, there's only two people now there may be more you have to call, but the first two on your list, not some upstart Cliff Kingsbury, who I love, not Dan Lanning, who I think is a great coach, not Dan Campbell, who all these guys that can coach. Don't misunderstand me. Love them. Not even Steve Sarkisian, who I love. He's been there. Okay.
Yep.
Now, if the two turn me down, great. Then I can go to Dan Lanning or go to one of Lane Kiffin and bring him back if that's what you want to do. What I'm not doing is I'm making sure that I don't bypass a call to Nick Saban's agent and say we got 15 million reasons for 7. However many years you want on the contract, we'll give it to you. And we can pay it. Trust me, our school can pay it. And then if he says no, the next guy I'm calling, I want to pluck him right off that Fox set and stick him on there, and that's Urban Meyer. They will both win a national championship there, and they will both give you a chance to win it. Whether you like, they just will. Those are the first two. And if neither one takes it, then we can start throwing the other 8 names that people are going to talk about, Segs, in there. It doesn't. Don't fiddle around if you're USC and dick around with all this guy's really done some good things. He's 35. This guy's done some good things. He's 60. Man, I'll tell you what, Luke Fickell interviewed well. Stop it. Friggin' stop it, right? I don't want to hear any of that, okay? You go get those two guys, one or the other, and then you come back and see me, and then we'll start the list of – because at SC quite frankly, There's guys that'll leave their program for you, like they would leave their program for LSU or Florida or Notre Dame. We saw that with Brian Kelly. So don't. And even a guy like Coach Freeman, I'm going. It's Saban and Meyer, and then I'll throw 7 or 8 names in there if either one of those guys or both turn me down. That's where it starts. It's not an NFL coach. It's not go grab. Oh, and the third one, you know who I'd try, and he wouldn't leave for it, I wouldn't think. But you know who I would try? If he decided, if he was struggling, Sean McVay would be the next one, and he's right there in town, right?
Yeah.
But why would you leave that? Hell, you don't have to recruit. You get to go coach.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the college thing. But I'm saying for coaching thought, 2 of them are in town. One of them's on the set. Now, none of them may leave, but the first 2, I'm calling them, and I'm going to make them tell me no, but I'm going to make it almost impossible for either one of them to say, "No, I'm not interested." Why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, 100%. I agree. It doesn't, like, when I'm just from my point of view, this doesn't feel like a Nick Saban job if it were to open. Urban Meyer, 100%.
What if I said that
exact type of job that Urban Meyer takes?
Now, if you're saying on top of who would be more apt to take it, if they offer it to Urban, I don't think he'd let it get to the next part. I think he'll take, I think that while he likes the Fox set, here's what I do know about television and radio. You can always go back and do that. And you go coach at SC, heck, they'll double your pay when you come back and want to sit on the set. So that's fine. Now, unless you just like the casual lifestyle, you get to prepare for 1 game a week, talk about the national championship, do your podcast. I get it. We live it. I get it. Excuse me. You don't want the grind. Maybe your health is telling you, like, remember when Urban went through the health originally, maybe your family is saying, "No, I promised my wife I'm not doing it again." No, don't do it again. But if he's healthy and they offer it to him, there's no way he's not taking it. You get my point? And I'm good with that. If Lincoln leaves, I'm all in. Yeah. The Saban thing is interesting. It feels more like that he'd go to LSU before Southern Cal, but I at least got to visit that, right? Don't
100%. You make the call.
I at least got to make the call. And I'd call him first. And then knowing that Urban's not going to do anything if the USC job's open, he's going to take it. Now, I don't know health-wise if he would, but if he's healthy and still wants to coach, there's no damn way he's passing that job up. No way.
Yeah, and then just the rumors that have floated the last few years about Sean McVay, well, again, I make that call. Feels like he's more apt to maybe go the TV route sooner than we want to admit. Like, he's a great coach. He should be coaching in the NFL for the next 30 years. But there's been whispers of him just, I don't know, I don't want to say not loving coaching, but just not being 100% in.
He'd be a $15 million guy doing whether it's Monday night. I'm just saying Monday night. Aikman's on that Sunday night studio, whatever it is. They pay him all kinds of money. He'd be great at it, I'm sure, because he's got a great personality.
Give me Sean McVay, please, on my television.
Awesome. There's no doubt. Yet I'm sitting here thinking, what a ripoff to the coaching profession because he's so friggin' good, right?
Yes,
that's how I'd be thinking. But if you're him, you say, I got another Super Bowl this year. I got 2 of them. I could, and you know what? Think how valuable he'd be if he said, I'm going to go take 2 years off and go do television, make me a bundle of money, make about $30 million, and then everybody's going to be craving me to come back. I'll still be in my 40s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, Segs, but those are the first 3 names I'm calling. All they can do is tell me no.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
And then I'll move on. And if the 4th guy's disappointed that you went through Saban, Meyer, and McVay, well, who gives a shit? You'll get over it. Yeah. And if you want the job bad enough, you'll take it if you're the 8th guy. It's USC. It's LSU. It's Notre Dame. SC job. I can promise you this. If Lincoln Riley leaves, there's no way my school can settle for a non-big name guy. Now, Lincoln was a big name. They have to. It has to be a splash so big that the cannonball hits the top shell, hits the high dive. The platform. You just can't. And I don't think you get through Urban Meyer and have him say no if his health is where he wants it to be and if he's still got coaching in his mind.
Yes, 100%. The guy that
I don't think he wants to live. I didn't mean to interrupt. I don't think Urban Meyer wants his last coaching gig to be that we thought it was a shitty gig at Jacksonville.
Yes,
and it was self-inflicted. I don't think he wants that, even though it was NFL. I think he'd like to go. Now think about this. That would mean he'd be a national champion if he wins one at 3 different universities. Who's done that? Nobody has. So that's the one trump card he'd have on Nick Saban, right? He got it at 2 and got multiple ones there. But can you imagine saying, and Jimmy and Pete Carroll got their national titles and Super Bowl rings. Can you imagine Urban being able to say, well, I want to, because he said, if I give him 5 years at SC, is Urban Meyer winning a national championship at Southern Cal? Of course he is, right? If he doesn't, then you'd fire him after 3 years and say, what the hell's wrong here?
Yeah.
His plan would be a lot shorter than everybody else's. So, but that was a hell of a grenade dropped by Josh to let us know that keep an eye on Lincoln Riley at SC. And he didn't tell us why we should keep an eye or how it's happened. He just said to keep an eye. He's not saying that with his insight just for shits and giggles.
Exactly. Yeah, my first call outside of those, and I'm basically not letting him say no, and that is the guy you mentioned in Dan Lanning. That's the
there's no doubt.
Outside of those monster guys, the big splash is Dan Lanning, in my opinion. And
let me ask you this:
it would be interesting to see if he'd take that job.
Would you revisit Lane Kiffin and say he's mature? Let's get him a second time around. Would he be in? If it wasn't Dan Lanning, would you at least call Lane and say, you know what?
Yeah,
it's different.
100%.
It's different. It's a different GM,
different dynamic,
athletic director, right? And he's more mature now than he was when he first got that job.
Yes,
right.
Just college football has changed so much that, I mean, we had guys like, we didn't have the GM role technically in college football when he was at USC. There was guys that would kind of run certain aspects, but now, I mean, Lane, I think he would have so much more control at USC than he did when he was so much younger.
And he would know how to use it properly, because he's more mature. He's been through the good and the bad since then, no doubt.
Yes. So Dan Lanning and Lane Kiffin, yes, those are calls 1 and 2 after your big monster 3 that you threw out there.
Doubt.
Let me throw this one more question at you about Lincoln Riley. Do you think he could be taking a peek at a higher level in the NFL, seeing some job openings?
I don't
possibly
think it may be very well that because in truth, that like Liam Cohen Lincoln Riley's on steroids ×2 considering where their careers are. If you like Liam Cohen and his offense and doing it, you're going to love Lincoln Riley. You can't, they won a national title and the commitment to defense, but when you're just talking about quarterback, getting them ready in offense, and you want to sell tickets, if you're the Miami Dolphins, who would you rather have, Lincoln Riley or Mike McDaniel?
Oh, yeah. Lincoln Riley.
Mike McDaniel, should I say. So, he just got there's a little more, there's just a little more firepower in the hiring, right? Now, if you're Lincoln Riley and you're leaving USC and you're tired of recruiting, maybe NIL, all that started to wear you out.
Yeah.
Segs, couldn't you see him taking, I'm not talking about a New York gig like the Giants, although he may love it because guess who? He knows a little bit about Jackson Dart, doesn't he?
Yep.
Let's see. Was Dart there when Lincoln got there, or was Dart already gone? Did he leave with the previous coach?
I want to say he was there. Let's see.
Oh, you know what? Didn't he leave because wasn't he on the roster when Caleb Williams got there? Was he there or was he post?
I'm trying to remember.
You know what I'm saying? Was there a quarterback or two in between Caleb? Because Jackson was at Ole Miss for 2 years, right?
So he left when Lincoln came.
So same year.
I don't know. Yes.
It was wasn't it
yes, so it was. So right here it was following the 21 season, Lincoln Riley was hired at USC, and then there was rumors that Caleb Williams was going to follow.
He left when Caleb Williams came with him to go to Ole Miss. That's exactly what happened.
Yes. So once the rumor started, he entered the portal and went.
There you go. So, but you're right. You make a good point, Segs. There'll be some good NFL jobs open. And I don't know, maybe he loves Tennessee. Maybe he wants to be the Titans' new head coach. Who knows? But there probably comes a point in time that I can understand why NIL wears you out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave USC to go to a team that's got no shot. I mean, it's struggling. They're going to. What I say is that you think that the front office is going to stay the same, and they're going to continue to struggle. Is my point. Because anybody that hires Lincoln Riley, it's obvious because the team was struggling and they're finding a new coach. But you're also going to go where the quarterback that's there gives you a chance. So if he does go to the NFL, whether it's the Giants and Dayball leaves and he wants to coach Jackson Dart, or if he goes Cam Ward to Tennessee or Miami, the two, it'll be interesting if it is an NFL gig that he leaves for. It'll even be more wow factor if he leaves SC for another college job. That would be the equivalent to me of leaving Notre Dame to go to another college job.
Yeah, I could see Miami, because there maybe, when it comes time, he could get to pick or help pick a GM, or kind of become a package deal with a GM. And then, yeah, you have Tua for another year, but you're looking for your next quarterback. You get to pick the quarterback. You're not,
right.
Now if you love Jackson Dart, fine. Or you love Cam Ward, fine. But if you get to choose your next quarterback, if Miami gets the first pick, who knows? And then you're sitting there and you could say, I want this guy, or I'm going to hold back, take a Reuben Bain and get my quarterback next year.
Right.
Because that 27 draft is supposed to be one of the best we've ever seen when it comes to the likes of Jeremiah Smith and some others in that class, some defenders that are going to be really good too. The quarterbacks is the one thing we just never really know about year to year when it comes to the NFL draft.
No doubt.
Speaking of the NFL draft.
Real quick, when Bo Nix was at Auburn, Segs, when Bo Nix was at Auburn, there was no way you had him being a first-round pick and playing like he's playing with the Denver Broncos. There's no freaking way. Then he got to Oregon, and you start to say, well, coach a little different. Then he gets here, and we're like, this dude's a dynamic, accurate football player, and I get it. But when he was at Auburn, you would have thought he was a mid to late round pick trying to make a team if he can hold on. And now the dude's running a franchise and he'll be their quarterback for the next decade if Sean Payton continues to keep his claws into him and doing what he's doing. So, changes in a hurry if you get the right guy. Yeah.
And then before we get out of here, let's quick talk about the big deal that was made on the trade deadline. That's Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys for a 2026 second-round pick, a 2027 first-round pick, and the bust so far, defensive tackle Mozzie Smith out of Michigan. Did you like the trade for the Jets, the Cowboys, both? Where do you stand on that?
I do like both things, and I can weave into the third. I'm trying to visualize for the Cowboys, and it's a tough day to talk about the Cowboys considering what they're going through with the lost player, is the visualization of I understand trades and having the firepower to go get Quinnen Williams and to get stuff from Green Bay for Micah Parsons. But I'm sitting here thinking, man, if you're Dallas, wouldn't it be great if you had Micah Parsons and Quinnen Williams on the same line? I'm greedy like that. But with this particular trade, even though you may not like how the Cowboys went about their business the last couple of years to get to it, Quinnen Williams is a hell of a football player. A 1 and a 2 is worth it. I think they win, especially on the urgent side of helping. That they need Segs. They're still 3 players away on D. They need more, right? But at least he's an inside disruptor who is good against the run, a Pro Bowl caliber player with energy. He is a definite upgrade and help the Cowboys. I think the Jets won the entire trade deadline, though. Big picture over the long for a team that fire sale, they needed to get rid of it. And between them and him and Sauce Gardner, they've accumulated what Oklahoma City's accumulated, like we talked about and I've talked about. You're getting assets to help build because I don't care who the quarterback is, Segs, they're not going to be very good, right? They're just not very good. Now, then you get these assets to get players, and then you bring the quarterback, whoever that might be. It's actually a pretty good thing. So I know Segs, I think he lost a little connection there. But for me, guys, I will tell you, let's get Segs back on here in a sec. But I just think that the Jets, when's the last time we said the Jets won something? And they did for them, not now, but as they went ahead, and Logan Wilson was losing time at Cincy. They won because of what the assets bring to helping have firepower to even move up in a draft to get a player or two more. So I think the Cowboys won because they need on that part of it because they needed a player or two, and they still need more help. And then the other side is the Jets to be able to have the guts to get rid of their, quite frankly, 2 of their best, if not their best defensive players, and then to accumulate assets for them and eliminate some of that salary. There's no doubt in my mind that the Jets, and we've had a hard time saying anything good about the Jets recently, but I think the Jets won the big picture, and on the urgent, it does help the Cowboys. I don't know if it's going to be enough, Segs, to get the Cowboys to the playoffs, but I think accumulating Oklahoma City Thunder assets type for an NFL team with Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams gone, among others, that, you know, the movement. I think the Jets definitely did the smart thing by getting rid. They should be even more involved this offseason in moving players and obviously whatever free agent can help them. I do think it, and I think the Cowboys got a hell of a player in Quentin Williams.
So looking at it like this, though, when we package, you know, you traded away Micah Parsons and got
that bothers me still. Yes.
So when you look at it this way, do you like it? You traded Micah Parsons, Mozzie Smith, who you did spend a first-round pick on. Yeah, he isn't playing well. He's been a bust so far, but you still spent a first-round pick on him.
But we kind of forget that, Segs. We don't even include them in the talk here, no doubt.
Right. And a 26 second-round pick. So next year's second-round pick for Kenny Clark, Quentin Williams, a 2026 first-round pick, and then what's about $70 million to spend over the next 3 seasons. So are you still okay with that, or is it still no? We lost Micah Parsons, arguably the best defensive player in football. Where do you stand when you look at it like that?
Listen, I don't like, and you can answer too, Segs, for you since your stuff cut out, and to get you back on. I can just tell you this, that anytime I get rid of a core player that's one of the dominant ones in the league, I better have a real big plan in mind. So I don't like, listen, if I'm a Dallas Cowboy, I don't like any scenario right now that doesn't have him going and hitting the quarterback in the mouth. Green Bay loves it, but when you break them down separately and what the Cowboys needed, but you robbed Peter to bring in Paul, you know what I'm saying, in a different position, but still to help your defense. And that's why this picture of, man, what would it look like if they could have arranged it and had both of those guys? But I don't love it as much, but I do like that the Cowboys got a guy. It would have been crazy if the Cowboys would have went through this and did nothing at the trade deadline. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And but I do think the Jets, to me, Segs, to do what they did, I thought that was a win for them. I do. Even though you gave up great players now, they needed to do it because those great players led to a 1-7 record. Isn't that where they're sitting right now? So you got to get more players, and you've shaved some salary cap. I don't know. Did you like it? I mean, in the 2 scenarios, I would imagine you like what the Jets did with Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams.
Yes, I love what the Jets did. I mean, you just have to. I hope they, like you just said, continue it into the offseason. Keep moving what they do. I wish they would have traded Breece Hall. I don't care if it's for a 4th or a 5th. Just continue to build assets that aren't going to help you.
Maybe an off-season deal there, huh, Segs? Yes, possibly an off-season move there.
For sure. And there's others. I mean, they were talking about Jermaine Johnson, the young defensive end. He's had a great start to the year, or a great start to his career, but you could have got something for him. And supposedly they just didn't get the price, which is fine if you don't trade him because you're not getting the price, and you could trade him later on. But I just love the aspect of getting as many picks as you can. Like you said, the Oklahoma City Thunder model where, we haven't really seen too much of that in football, but I think we're starting to see it more and more.
Segs, before we go back up, we'll talk about what we teased a little bit yesterday, but Friday, since they don't play till Sunday anyway, is head coach's approach to his backup quarterback and what you should be feeding them before they get ready to play. Does that make sense? Yes. I think that'll make not just about the Davis Mills thing that what DeMeco Ryan said about that situation, but just a backup quarterback in general, and how a coach should approach going into a game with a game plan and what you say to him and the team with a backup. And lastly, Seg, before we get off with what happened in Dallas and with Eric Spoelstra's house, it happened after I got off the air yesterday, and I do not want to, and was thinking about Junior, who also is a USC Trojan, I do not want to let this go past without my best wishes to a family that I friggin' love. And both Joey Browner and Keith Browner were my teammates at SC, and Joey was a longtime teammate. So really for about 9 years, I've been teammates with a Browner. Joey and Keith at the same time at Southern Cal, one linebacker, and obviously Joey, who I think belongs in the Hall of Fame as a safety corner.
Yeah.
And then Joey in Minnesota for the years I was there. I love the family. Both very close and great friends when I was there. Always laughing and having a good time. Both tremendous athletes. Keith also played basketball for USC's basketball team, about 6'7". Segs, really quick, and this will make people laugh. when John Robinson used to come out, we didn't have the jugs machine working, or was the one with the two wheels, and throwing to the punts, or the punter was getting loose. Keith Browner would come out there and go like this about 8 times to warm up his arm, old school warm up, and he'd throw the ball to the punts, to the punter, to the punt return as the punter. And we had a contest, but Keith Browner passed away from what is an apparent heart attack yesterday, unexpected. And Keith was 64, I believe, 63 or 64. Might have just turned 64. KB was one of my favorite. He had this laugh, Segs. It was so infectious and he was so loved, both he and Joey. And if a fight ever broke out on the practice field and Joey came sprinting in and Keith was in it, it scrambled everybody. You're like, I ain't messing with those. Yeah. And they were just such great people. And Joey, obviously, I know is struggling with this because they were tight. And that Browner family, Ross, obviously Notre Dame Outland Trophy winner. And Gerald, the younger brother, who was one of the top recruit in the country when he came out. Yeah. The Browners they were, when I was there, family to me, and I love Joey. And I love Keith, and I'm gonna miss him. He passed away yesterday unexpectedly, and it's gut wrenching for his family. So I want to send out to a Trojan. And one last thing, Segs. We were at Stanford, and we were getting ready to play my sophomore year against Elway in the group. And the day before, Coach John Robinson loved to have contests, do something. John was like, have fun, stay focused, but take the stuff off our mind. So he comes to me and goes to the deep. It might have been Jack Del Rio, who was, and he says, Jack, you pick a guy on defense. Sean, you pick a guy on offense. We'll have a distance throwing contest, and quarterbacks aren't included. And I thought, well, the way Keith throws it, maybe it wouldn't matter if quarterbacks weren't great. Right. Yeah. I mean, I said, maybe I'll throw it a long time. I'm not sure we could throw it like the punt throw guy. So Bruce Matthews, Hall of Fame guard, steps up. We're throwing from the 20. Dude, the ball lands at about the 7-yard line. Dude, he threw it. It's a 70-yard. Bruce was the most competitive and still is human being I've ever been around. Bruce could take this napkin and this paper towel and turn it into a competition. And anybody there playing with that, Bruce, it didn't matter. Oh, man, you got a set of keys here. And here's the competition. I'm going to throw it up. The first person that catches it, throws it to the next guy, and then tackles it. Whatever it is, Bruce can compete. And, dude, long snapper, Pro Bowler, you could play guard, center, tag. Didn't matter where you moved him. Bruce was just that guy. And he'll tell you the story that every single day for his life, when he practiced, he was afraid he was getting cut. 15 years into his career, that fear of getting cut and embarrassing himself turned him into, one of the best linemen we've ever had. Well, I choose Bruce for us over receivers. Quarterbacks couldn't throw it, and he represents. I said, oh, my gosh, we may get this. Keith goes through the warm-up from the 20, throws the ball about 2 yards deep in the end zone. Dude, and I'm telling you, dude, but his 6'7", and he had to have an 85-inch wingspan. He was long, right? And it was just, and that leverage, it's like the guy who's at 6'7" that has a big old long, like those long drive contests that can hit the ball 420. Yeah. That was Keith with the ball in his hand. So I wanted to share a uplifting story. Keith won. I think, we got this. Keith drops it in the end zone. I'm like, no, we hopefully he'll miss the throw. We don't got this. To the Browner family, I love you guys. KB, you're going to be missed. Gone too soon. Too much of this on this show today, Segs, considering what's gone on, right? But I didn't want to go throughout the show without my fight on Trojan. And to Joey, if somebody gets this to you, I'll be in touch with you. I love you, brother. And I'm really sorry. And Keith went on to play. He was a second-round pick, like the 31st or second pick, whenever it was. Mm-hmm. Back then, I don't think we had maybe we were 30 teams back then.
Probably
I can't remember.
30,
I think he was like the first or second pick of the second round, or the early second round pick. Let's just put it that way, in the 30s, and play with the Chargers, and Tampa Bay had drafted and played with a couple other teams. But in a phenomenal athlete. I pray for the Browner family, because you don't get to say bye, Segs, when it's unexpected.
Yes.
I was reading where the dog, maybe it was the granddaughter, and then the dog, we're going to go see him, and they get this the regular phone call that they have with him every day, and he didn't make the phone call, and they were concerned. And I lost my dad. We got to say goodbye to him for 9 months from cancer. Mm-hmm. And that's when you're thankful for a terminal illness, right? You hate him, but you're thankful you get to say bye. Somebody gets in a car accident, the family didn't get to say bye to their son, right? And Keith's family didn't get to say bye to him because it was unexpected. So God bless that family, and I hate to see it, and I love the Browners. So that's the way I'll end today. And the start and the ending aren't exactly what you want to talk about, but they're more important than anything else we talk about today.
100%. Tomorrow we'll be back at our normal time. We're going to talk. We got some really good college football games. We got BYU, Texas Tech. We've got Mizzou and Texas A&M. We got some good football games. We got Drake May versus Baker Mayfield, Patriots versus Bucks in Tampa. Two MVP candidates and those two quarterbacks. And then I want to talk a little bit about my Bears. They're playing the Giants. They have a chance to be 6-3. I want to get your take on them in the NFC North. Could we see three teams from that division make it to the playoffs? So we got a lot to discuss tomorrow, and then we'll do our 6-pack of picks that we do, 3 NFL, 3 college, as we do every single Friday. And with the roll we're on, just follow us. We'll make you millions. Maybe
That's
not
a
millions,
great point.
maybe hundreds.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, if we
tens.
can
I don't
make
know.
just add zeros, brother, and let's go.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
We'll make you some money, hopefully, but we will do that tomorrow.
And
Thanks
we'll hopefully keep you engaged in our advertiser, our big betting advertiser, so well that you don't, break up like ESPN and Penn Entertainment.
Exactly.
How about that $2 billion breakup?
Completely forgot about that once the Kneeland.
Well, that would take a whole show. We could talk about that tomorrow as well, Segs.
Yes. So thanks.
And then DraftKings swooped right on in and took care of their business.
Here we are. Yes.
Yeah.
They're always just sitting there waiting. So
with a pile of cash too. They're pretty good, man. Good on them.
Thank you to all of our listeners as well. We will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.